All right, let's dive right in. We're going to be exploring one of the most significant claims ever made, and we'll be doing it by walking through the Gospel of John. This whole analysis was put together by Happy Akonde, and it really focuses on the book's central argument, the full, undeniable divinity of Jesus Christ. So let's take a look at the evidence John presents. You know what's great about the Gospel of John is that the author doesn't make you guess his motive. He spells it out right here. This one verse is basically the key to the whole book. It's the lens we're supposed to view everything through. Every story, every miracle, it's all there for one reason, so that you might believe and have life. So, how does John start to build his case? Well, the first 7 chapters are this incredible opening statement. He presents Jesus as the creator himself, literally stepping into his own creation and showing everyone who's really in charge. Think about this. John doesn't start with a nativity story. He starts in eternity. He introduces Jesus as the Logos, which is Greek for the Word. And listen how he puts it. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So right from the first sentence, the claim is clear. Jesus isn't a created being. He is the creator. And after that huge cosmic opening, John just starts laying out the evidence, one piece at a time. First, you see Jesus showing complete mastery over nature, turning water into wine. Then he's presented as omnipresent, somehow on earth and in heaven at the very same time. Next, he's omniscient, knowing every detail of a woman's life he's just met. He claims total authority over life and judgment. See, John isn't just telling us about some cool miracles, he's systematically checking off attributes that belong to God and God alone. Okay, so after showing his divine power through all those actions, the whole narrative just escalates. Jesus moves from demonstrating who he is to flat out telling people who he is, in some of the most direct and shocking ways possible. The grammar here is everything. Notice. He doesn't say, before Abraham was, I was. He says, I am. This was not a mistake. He is deliberately using the sacred covenant name of God that was revealed to Moses back in the book of Exodus. This is a direct claim to be Jehovah, the eternal, self-existent God of Israel. It's a massive statement. And this isn't just some nice-sounding phrase. You have to picture the scene. Jesus says this while he is literally standing outside the tomb of his friend Lazarus, who has been dead and buried for 4 days. He makes this incredible claim, and then seconds later, he proves he has the power to back it up by calling that dead man right out of the grave. I mean, it really doesn't get much clearer or more direct than this. He's not just saying they have the same purpose. The language he uses points to a unity of nature, of being, of essence. In John's unfolding argument, this is one of the most powerful, unambiguous claims of equality with God the Father that you'll find anywhere. And if you ever wonder if people understood what he was saying, just look at their reaction. It tells you everything you need to know. They didn't think he was speaking in metaphors. They didn't scratch their heads in confusion. No, they immediately picked up stones to kill him because they understood he was making himself equal with God, which to them was the worst possible blasphemy. And when he's talking to his own disciples, he makes it even more personal, even more intimate. He basically presents himself as the perfect, physical image of the invisible God. The claim is breathtakingly simple. If you want to know what God is like, just look at me. And all of this brings us to the final section, what is really the climax of John's entire argument. In these last chapters, during his final hours, Jesus doesn't just claim to be God, he demonstrates it through these ultimate acts of sovereignty over his own life and death. Listen to this. In a prayer to the Father, a private moment that his disciples get to overhear, Jesus talks about his own pre-existence. He actually recalls the glory he had in eternity past, long before the world was even created. This isn't the prayer of a man hoping to become divine. It's a divine being talking about his own eternal home. This moment in the Garden of Gethsemane is just unbelievable. When this whole group of armed soldiers comes to arrest him, he simply says who he is. I am. And the raw, untamed power contained in that divine name is so overwhelming that it knocks them all flat on their backs. This is so crucial to John's account. The cross is not portrayed as a defeat. It's an act of absolute control. Jesus isn't a victim whose life is taken from him. No, he's the great high priest, completely in command. He chooses the precise moment to lay down his own life, acting as both the perfect sacrifice and the one who offers it. So after all of this evidence, All the signs, the I am statements, the absolute control over his own death and resurrection, John brings us to the final verdict. He walks the reader to the exact conclusion that he's been building toward from the very beginning. John sets the scene perfectly. Jesus has risen from the dead, he appears to his disciples, and now Thomas, the famous doubter, is faced with physical proof that he simply cannot deny. So, what's the only logical conclusion? What is the one confession that has to be made? And that's it, right there. That's the pinnacle of the entire book. Thomas, seeing the risen Christ, doesn't just say, "My teacher," or "Wow, you're alive." He makes the ultimate declaration of faith. He says, "My Lord and my God." This is the confession that the entire gospel was designed to lead to. Now watch what happens next, because this is the final, critical piece of the puzzle. Jesus hears Thomas worship him as God, and he doesn't rebuke him for blasphemy. He does the exact opposite. He commends him. By accepting that worship, Jesus puts his own divine stamp of approval on the claim. He validates it as true. John finishes his book by essentially telling us he's barely scratched the surface, that what he's written is just a small sample of the evidence. He leaves us with this incredible sense of awe and vastness, suggesting the full story is just too big for the world to even contain. And so, the question he really leaves us with is, what will our verdict be?